week, UnCloned Insiders. It's time to go from unknown to uncloned. You got to have the UnCloned book bundle, the #1 book bundle in the marketplace to help you live an uncloned life and build an uncloned brand. All you have to do is head over to unclonedbb.com. That is UnClonedBB.com. Until next time, let's go live an uncloned life and build an uncloned brand. Hey y'all, what's going on? How are you doing? What up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to another UnCloned live stream. You know how we get down over here. Can I be honest with y'all for about 10 seconds? Okay. Hopefully y'all can hear me, but can I just keep it a buck with y'all? Like, just keep it 1,000 with y'all. This live stream wasn't about to happen. I was like, you know what? It's getting later and later and later. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then I was on the phone with two of my good friends. I was on the phone earlier with Rochelle, and then I just got the phone with April, and both of them was like, are you going live or not? And I'm just like, well, I kind of want to go live. I kind of don't. But anyway, here we are. And the reason why is because y'all probably don't know this, or you probably do, but every year around this time, my husband and I, we celebrate our anniversary, our wedding anniversary. We celebrate my book anniversary, and we celebrate his birthday. So we typically are off during this week. So I was like, well, kind of off, but whatever. But anyway, we here now. So I want to talk to you about, because as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, at first I wanted to talk about like client loyalty and like how do you get people loyal to your brand and business. And then I was like, actually, I want to talk about lead time, because I think a lot of times when people are thinking about launching, we grossly underestimate what it takes. And even though I have launched almost 100 times, it never gets easier. Because as you begin to learn how to launch and you start having fun with launching, you actually kind of overcomplicate it over time because you want to make it bigger and bigger, right? So anyway, I wanted to talk about like how much time do you need to prepare for a launch? Now, before we get into today's topic, I do want to let you know that there is a 30-second delay between you and I. So if you know for a fact you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. And when we get to Q&A, I will answer your question. If we do not have any questions by the time we get to Q&A, then I will end the live stream. So again, because there is a 30-second delay between you and I, make sure that you are you're putting your questions in the chat. So when we get to Q&A, I'll see it and then I can answer your question. Also, if this is your first time to our live stream, welcome. If you're returning, hey, make sure that you all smash the subscribe button on my YouTube channel and like this video if you are enjoying today's content. Don't be afraid to share this live stream out with 1 to 2 friends that you may have that you feel like would be, that will benefit from this content. So let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about how much time do you need to prepare for a launch. And I thought it'd be great to kind of break it down into 2 phases just so you all can like really understand this. All right. So before I get into that list, I want you all to see the events that we have coming up, right? We have a lot of events coming up. And as you will see here, I put on here lead time. So how much time do I have from the date that the launch that I'm doing is going to take place? So for instance, we have 3 virtual conferences that's coming up. 3. Okay, 3. And the earliest one coming up in 31 days. Okay. And so UnCloned, so UnCloned Marketing Pro Live is for CEOs and people who work in the marketing role. And then Publishing Like a Pro Live is in June. And then UnCloned Brand Live, our summer edition, is in July, right? So we got these 3 conferences coming up, these 3 virtual conferences coming up. And one of the things that you will notice about this is that we got different lead times depending on which event it is. So UnCloned Marketing Pro Live, because that's happening in February, we only got 31 days leading up to that event. And then for Publishing Like a Pro, we got 156 days leading up to that event. And then we got 177 days leading up to UnCloned Brand Live. All right. Now, during this time between right now and when the event is happening, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that you may or may not see, right? And a lot of that has to do with the fact that just because you have a date for your event doesn't mean that you've done everything you needed to get it out there, because we all know that the first thing you need to do is be clear on what the idea is. Like, what is the actual idea? What is the goal? What is the whole point of this? Because oftentimes people confuse this actually pretty frequently, because I see a lot of times when people are thinking about like, oh, what I'm going to launch, what I'm going to do, blah, blah. And oftentimes people aren't really clear around like what it takes to actually, put the thing together, because you're not clear on the idea. You're not clear on your offer. And so inside the launch circle, if you are a member of the launch circle, we talk about the different, like the 16 launch styles. And let me see if I can pull this screen up for a second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to actually pull this up and like log in real quick so y'all can see the 16 launch styles. And also, I'm not trying to sell you on the launch circle. I'm just showing you the 16 launch styles that we teach. Because at this point, I don't want to work with any and everybody. Because everybody is not hungry. Everybody is not definite. And so I kind of want to focus on the people who are serious in this season. Okay, so anywho, I'm going to log in to the portal real quick, and I'm going to show you the different launch styles that we have. So let me share my screen real quick, and then we're going to get into these tips real quick. All right, so let me share my screen, and I want to make sure that I stay inside this one window. Okay, cool. So one of the things you will notice here is that right here we have, let me move this out the way. Okay, so right here we got these 16 launch styles, right? So these are all the 16 ways that you can launch. You can launch one-on-one calls. You can launch a webinar. You can use a live challenge. You could do live streaming. You could do e-commerce. You can do an automated webinar, audio series, video series. You can go and speak or do speaking as a part of your launch style. You can do let me go back up. You could do a live video tour. You could do a social media and content style launch. You could do an online event, which is what we're doing with these virtual conferences. You could do an offline event, original content launch style, and partnerships. I think a new physical product launch, I believe, is on the list as well. And so those are the 16 different ways that you can launch. So when you're thinking about whatever your idea is, you need to be clear about the vehicle that you're going to use to promote whatever it is that you're selling. So anytime that you see someone doing a launch, whether it be a challenge or webinar or whatever, there is an offer on the back end of that event or the back end of that launch style. And so and just so you know, launch style is registered to UnCloned Media as a registered trademark, right? So if you see anybody out there talking about launch styles and all of that, just know they infringing on my trademark. So anyway, when it comes to these 3 different events, we got different goals for each event. So like UnCloned Marketing Pro Live is to sell our certification. Publishing Like a Pro Live is to introduce a brand new certification for publishing. And then UnCloned Brand Live, we're still thinking about what the back end offer is going to be for that. But as of now, we could just continue to enroll people into the UnCloned Brand Q&A Club. I'm thinking about an accelerator, but we'll see, right? But nevertheless, you need to be clear around what you're selling before you go launch. Because when you're not clear around what you're selling, it makes it difficult for you to choose which launch style, because we're actually going to do a whole masterclass on launch styles, because people don't understand the complexity of each launch style. And sometimes people confuse them quite frequently. And so we're actually going to do a whole masterclass on launch styles, just so y'all can know the difference. But nevertheless, these are my 3 upcoming virtual conferences, right? That we have coming up. That's definite. It's on the books. It's happening. Now, there's a lot of things that need to take place between now and when these dates are live. So just keep in mind, the more things you add to your calendar, the more you got to repeat this process. Because we have so many assets in place, We don't necessarily gotta, you know, grind as hard as the next person who may be creating those assets for the first time. All right. Okay, so let's talk about what do you need to know before you start creating all your different assets. And we're going to get into those different assets here in a moment. But what do you need to know? Number one, you need to know your offer and your idea. What are you launching? Like a lot of the times people forget that the reason you launch is to sell something, not just to take up space on the internet. So when you see somebody doing a challenge, you better believe they're going to sell you something. When you see somebody doing a webinar, you better believe they're going to sell you something. If you see a conference, whatever, there's an offer on the back end. There's an idea on the back end, right? So, and let me also say this too. The launch style that you use is also an idea, right? Like, oh, I want to do a conference to do XYZ so I can then sell my offer, right? Like, so just keep in mind, both things could be an idea. Like the idea is I have this UnCloned Marketing Pro certification. Okay, that's the product, that's the offer. But how can I expose people to it without doing a webinar? Oh, I know. Let's do UnCloned Marketing Pro live. Is this making sense, everybody? Just put yes in the chat if this is making sense. Okay, because if you don't get this, you're not going to get everything else we're talking about. I just want to make sure y'all getting this. All right. So that's the first thing you need to know. You need to know your idea and you need to know what you're selling. Like that's the first thing you need to be clear on. The second thing you need is a launch plan. Okay. I cannot begin to tell you how many people telling me that they're launching. Oh, I'm launching. I'd be like, hey, where's the plan? I don't got no plan. You ain't launching, boo. If you don't have a plan, you are not launching. Okay. You cannot be out here talking about I'm launching, and you don't have a plan. You don't have a 6-figure launch with no plan. You don't have $1 million launch with no plan. You don't have a 5-figure launch with no plan. And so if you're not seeing, you know, anywhere between 10,000 or more with your launches, it's because you do not have a plan. And if you like, hey, Audria, how do I write a plan? How do I put this into perspective? We have multiple resources for you. The first resource is my book, UnCloned Marketing, How to Challenge the Norms of Profitable Marketing Campaigns. The second way we can start with you is with the UnCloned Launch System. Matter of fact, let me just show you. Because, you know, I can show you better than I can tell you. So if you go over to the shop, which is audriarichmond.shop, I'm going to point to the resources that help you create a plan. So the first resource is the UnCloned Marketing book, right? So if you have not purchased this book, if you have not read this book, in this book, we break it down to the down on how to create a marketing plan, okay? Now, if you want to get the book bundle, which is what I recommend, it comes with all 3 of my books, which comes with my first book, which is all about personal branding, UnCloned Life, which is all about uncloning your life and thinking uncloned. And then the third book is UnCloned Marketing, all right? And then if you're like, okay, I got the book, but I need something with a little heat on it, then you might want to grab the UnCloned Launch System. All right. We recently came up with new pricing for the launch system. It is the cheapest it will ever be. And so if you like, hey, you know, I'm gonna wait for this to go on sale, don't, because it ain't. This is the lowest it will ever go. We recently discounted it by 85%. So it will never go any lower than this. So if this is a stretch, then, you know, you might not be able to get it. But nevertheless, both of those tools will help you write a marketing plan for your marketing campaign and your launch. All right. Okay. So that's the next thing. You need a launch plan. The next thing you need, okay, the next thing you need is your offer, like the pricing for your offer. What are you going to charge for the thing that you're selling? Okay. So for us, the UnCloned certification starts at $3,500 and it goes all the way up to $12,500, depending on the complexity of the whichever certification that people get. So I already know just off because of what we're going to be charging, I need a container where I can spend time with people to build up the value of my offer. Does this make sense? I cannot begin to tell you how many people are trying to sell $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 offers with a damn Word doc. I don't know who almost went off. I had to catch myself because I don't know what raggedy coach is telling y'all to make these crazy exorbitant amount of offers via a PDF or a Word doc. I don't get it. And so anyway, one of the reasons you see people doing like really big conferences is so they can build up the value of the offer, right? Like, I think a lot of times people grossly underestimate this part. So however you price your offer will determine the packaging that you put the offer in. So think of your packaging as the launch styles. Okay, based on the price of this offer, I really need to do a challenge. Based on the price of this offer, I really need to do X. And a lot of the times, you all offers don't match the launch style that you're picking, or vice versa, right? And so when you're thinking about, what you're going to need, you need to know the price of your offer. If it's $10, okay, how do you plan to introduce a $10 offer? If it's $100,000, how do you plan to introduce that? So your packaging and how you present it is just as important as the idea and the vehicle in which you introduce it to the market. Okay. The next thing you're going to need is a sales process. Ooh, I could actually do a whole conference just on sales process. And now that I'm thinking about it, that actually would be a really cool event. But anyway, a lot of people don't realize how bad and how horrible their sales process is. And let me explain this. If you're like, girl, what are you talking about? What is the sales process? Blah, blah, blah. Sales process is from the time that I get to your website to the time I receive my product or service in hand or digitally. What was that experience like? How did I go about buying whatever it is that you have? So when you tell me, hey, go to www.whatever to learn more about my thing, what am I going to see? Once I click the buy button and I add your thing to cart or I go to checkout, what am I going to see? After I give you payment and I get on the thank you page, what am I going to see? Once I check my email, what am I going to receive? After I check my email and I log into what I paid for, what is that experience like? Or on the flip side, if you sell physical products, what am I going to get in the mail? How are you going to package the thing that I purchased from your shop, right? Are you sending me something in a shitty package, or are you sending me something in a luxury package? Because let me tell you something, that sales process will determine if somebody is going to repeat doing business with you. Let me explain that again. Let me say it one more time for the people in the back. How you service people during the sales process will determine if you get repeat customers. A lot of you all aren't seeing repeat customers simply because your sales process was not a good experience for the person when they went through it. Like, they fought through the sales process, but they're never coming back to do business with you again because that experience was not good. And so if you underestimate the sales process, you are really hindering your referrals. You're hindering your repeat business, and then you're hindering the ability to have a loyal customer and loyal client. Your sales process will make and break every sale. So, for instance, when I went to go buy a Louis Vuitton purse, I went to the website. I purchased this purse. And then I got an email like, hey, your purse is going to be able to ship on this day. My first time I went to go buy a Louis Vuitton purse, it actually got lost in the mail. And then they resent me another one. But this time I went to go pick it up in the store. And when I got there, they had concierge at the door when you first walk into the Louis Vuitton store. And they're like, okay, are you Miss Richmond? Yes, I'm Miss Richmond. I come in, I'm greeted with someone who has extensive knowledge about the Louis Vuitton brand, the story, how the purses came about, the different patterns, the different type of purse that I was purchasing, the whole damn nine. Like, it's a whole thing that they got going on, right? I get to the counter and the rep is like, hey, I have your number. Here's my personal cell phone number. If you ever want to come in and look at something we have going on, whatever, contact me. I'll let you know when this perfume come out, when this purse comes out. How often do you prefer for me to contact you? Blah, 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 blah. Right? Sales process. Because I was one of those people who was only going to buy a Louis Vuitton purse one time just so I could get that luxury purse buying thing out of my soul and spirit. But then I ended up becoming a fan of the brand, and I actually purchased a second product and a third product. And now I start gifting people products from Louis Vuitton. So the point I'm making here is your sales process determines everything. And that's why I'm spending time on it, because it's often overlooked. People think about the product, they'll think about how they want to sell it, they'll think about what it costs, right? And they'll put it out, and then it's lackluster because from the moment that somebody click on being interested, the whole sales process go to shit. So I'm telling you, your sales process is just as important as the idea. It's just as important as the marketing. It's just as important for everything across the board. I need y'all to understand that. Okay. All right. The next thing is your launch goals. What goals do you have for this launch? Why are we doing this launch in the first place? And let me also say this: goals for launches aren't just monetary, right? It's not just about how much more money you can make. You want to also tie your goals to the fact that, okay, yes, I want to make some money, but I want to get this much reach. I want to grow my email list by this. I want to be able to be interviewed on these platforms. I want to be able to partner and collaborate with these people. So like once you get clear on what your goals are, now you can cook. Because again, when you're thinking about your goals, it's not just revenue generated. Like it's not just about the money that you're going to make. It's not just about, oh, I want a 10K launch, a 15K launch, a 100K launch, whatever. It's not just about the money. It's also about the impact. What type of impact do you want to have as a result of doing this launch? All right. And then the last thing you need to know is your launch content. I'm not going to go into this because this gets really, really deep and there's a lot of moving parts for launch content. But just know you need to know what your content strategy is going into your launch to ensure that you are ready and prepared to go and, put your offer out there in a big way. All right. Now that we have that, let's talk about what assets you need to create for your launch. And this part right here takes up probably 80% of your launch efforts. Okay. This next list that I'm about to go through is about 80% of your launch parts, right? It's the assets that you need to create. So number one, launches are copy heavy. Okay. Audrey, what are you talking about? They're copy heavy, meaning you need to write a lot of words for a launch. We're talking about launch emails. We're talking about product descriptions. We're talking about social media captions. We're talking about press releases. We're talking about video scripts. If you need a script for your video, we're talking about descriptions for your YouTube video. Anything that's a word that you need to write, right, for your launch, copy and graphics is the meatiest part of any launch. It's all the words you're going to write. And in addition to that, the second thing is graphics, right? And so graphics is a huge part of it. You need your promotional graphics, you need your launch graphics, you need your offer graphics, you need your slide decks, you need the graphics that go on your slide decks. There's a lot of moving parts, right? So we got copy, we got graphics, photography, you need photos, okay? You need photos of yourself, you need stock photos, you need photos, right? You need photos of your product. If you sell a physical product, you need photos. The next thing, you need video, okay? We live in a video world. Are you creating reels? Are you creating short form video, long form video, sales video, marketing video? Like you need video, right? The next part of this is websites. You need an opt-in page. You need a thank you page. You need a checkout page or sales page, depending on your launch style, right? And then the last thing you need is tech and automation. So these are all the assets that need to be set up while you're launching. You need to write all the copy, create all the graphics, do all the photography, do the video, the websites, tech, and automation. Now, I know this is a lot, and I know you're thinking to yourself, damn, Audria, do I got to do all of this? Yes, if you plan on launching. Now, let me tell you why people don't launch. Because they're like, oh, it's too many things to do. Yet, you all have no problem with creating 30 pieces of content. And if you're one of those content creators that create content, 3 pieces of content a day. So let's do the math. So 3 pieces of content times 31 days is 93 pieces of content. So you have no problem with creating 93 videos with no return, then rather than spending time to actually create the launch assets and create an event. The reason why launches work is because they're time sensitive. That's why launches work, because there's a start date and an end date. That's why launches work. So if you thinking to yourself like, oh, me creating content is way easier than, creating a launch, you're sadly mistaken. And so if you've been spinning wheels, just constantly wasting time creating so much content, you're missing the point, y'all. You're missing the point. So anyway, that's the list. And so if you want to know where you stand with your brand, I want to encourage you to head over to UnClonedBrandScore.com to take your assessment so you can learn your UnCloned Brand Score, right? It's a free assessment that we offer to small business owners to learn where they stand with their brand. We've had, close to 1,300 people to take this assessment. And so if you have not went to go learn your UnCloned Brand Score, head over to UnClonedBrandScore.com. It looks like we don't have any questions. If you are part of our UnCloned community, you can ask your questions where I shared this video inside the group. Until next time, y'all, I really do pray and hope that you enjoyed today's live stream. And until next time, y'all, let's go live an uncloned life and build an uncloned brand. Bye, y'all.